Like life and death, moon and sun, it's sure to each the piper comes. And while God and Goddess give for free, down below there will be fees. Despite perfect love and perfect trust, there's no way around it. Cash is a must. We've sought within, but come up short. So we come to thee, your help to court. If you would aid this temple's life, a $3 donation would be nice. Remember well that gifts when sent return threefold of what was spent. But if you can't, well, blessed be. We shall survive, so mote it be.
Merry meet and welcome to Wicca, a year and a day in Magic, week 26. This week is magical herbs. Now, the herbs that you can find in your own cabinet have magical properties, such as cinnamon, peppermint, cloves, garlic, and even foods that you may already eat, such as potato, lemons, apples, oranges, and even strawberries. And even the weeds in your yard that you deem unpleasant, even those have magical properties, such as the dandelion. Now, how to go about using herbs in magic. Now, herbs can be used in several different ways, such as just by themselves. Just use them by themselves, make a herb satchel to carry around for its magical properties. Or in incense. Now, a word of warning about using herbs as incense: don't burn any that are poisonous, for one, and number two, if you're allergic to any type of herb, don't use it in incense, and don't use it at all. And also, you can turn herbs into essential oil. So, if you have a green thumb, you can grow your own herbs, or you can just buy them. Now, another way to use herbal magic is in herbal teas. Now, make sure when you're using herbals as a tea, you want to make sure that you're not allergic to the herb, or it doesn't interact with any medications that you may be on, or any medical conditions. Some herbs will even interact if you are pregnant, or if you have high blood pressure, or if you're diabetic. So you may want to look into these herbs before using them, or consult with your pharmacist at a local pharmacy to see if the herbs are safe to take with the medication that you may be taking. Also, another great way to use herbs is using them in a herbal bath to absorb the magical properties. But please make sure to take the same precautions as I just stated before when you're using a herbal bath. Make sure that you're not allergic to any of the herbs before putting it in the bath, or else you'll probably end up with a very nasty rash. Now a word on how to take plants and herbs from the wild. Now you may have heard it's appropriate to give offerings to the plant that you are taking the herb from. This is a good thing to do karmically, but you might want to make sure that you're not using anything that would change the pH of the soil, such as milk or food or even wine. Don't use these. This will end up changing the pH of the soil and hurting the plant. Now, what is appropriate to use is just water, or even plant food. A stick of plant food would be a wonderful and accepted offering to the plant. Now, when you're taking the herb from the plant, you want to make sure not to take more than 25% of the plant. Now let's start learning about a few of the most popular herbs used in witchcraft, and some of the more not popular ones. Now, as any herb witch will tell you, there is no limit to the amount of herbs and herb knowledge that you will attain. But these are just a few. So let's start with lavender. Now, lavender is used in love spells, purification, and protection, and it is also great for sleep spells. And this fact has been scientifically proven that lavender helps with sleep. The next herb is jasmine. Now, jasmine is used in money and love spells. And then rose. Rose is most famously and obviously used for love spells, but it's also good for protection and healing. Peppermint. Now, peppermint is used in love and healing spells. ginger. Now, ginger is used in spells of love, for power, and money. Nutmeg. You may find this in your cupboard. Is used for spells for luck, fidelity, and money. Dragon's blood is used for protection, purification, and love. Cotton. You may be wearing cotton right now. Is used for healing and protection. Cinnamon is used for love, lust, power, and spirituality. You may even have this right now in your refrigerator. Carrots. It's used to help promote lust when eaten. Bay leaves. One of the best herbs for protection is bay leaves. Now, another great thing that you can do with herbs is make your own incense. The non-combustible kind, or you can make the combustible kind. You can look up recipes online. Now, non-combustible means that you would put it on a charcoal disc and burn it. And then combustible means that you grind up the herbs and add it with a substance that is combustible. Not meaning that you're going to cause an explosion, but it will light. Such as stick incense or cone incense. Now say you want to grind up your herbs, and you've been looking into getting a mortar and pestle. Now here's a bit of advice on mortars and pestles. So what you want to have is a mortar and pestle that is non-porous and is very durable. And luckily, there are such things available. Glass mortar and pestles will be your best friend as a witch. Now, a glass mortar and pestle is 1, non-porous, 2, easy to clean, 3, durable unless you drop it on the ground and it'll shatter. I've had experience. So a glass mortar and pestle usually isn't available in your common metaphysic, new age, pagan Wiccan store. It is available at a pharmacy, not like CVS or Walgreens. Those are retail pharmacies, but rather a compounding pharmacy. You just have to Google a local compounding pharmacy and ask that they order you a glass mortar and pestle for use for grinding up herbs. Or you can also order a glass mortar and pestle online. Usually they run between $20 and $40, and they run between 2 ounces to 8 ounce size mortars. Now, as I suggested, glass is usually the best mortar and pestle that you can buy. You can use it in the kitchen and then also use it for magical uses as well, because it's so easy to clean and you won't have any issues with cross-contamination with food and herbs. But there are also other mortar and pestles available, such as ceramic, which would be my second choice. Ceramic is very durable and it's easy to clean, but sometimes it can be a little porous if you're using something with a dye in it. It takes a few more washes to get that dye out, but you can get it out. And then there's marble. Marble's a good substance for a mortar and pestle, but it is expensive, and it does have its degree of porousness, unfortunately. And then there's soapstone. Soapstone is not recommended for a mortar and pestle. It is just for decoration uses. You'll find soapstone mortar and pestles in a pagan and Wiccan shop, but this substance is a very cheap substance, and it's easily broken. So if you're trying to grind anything up, or, you know, smash a seed for whatever reason, you'll probably end up cracking the mortar. A brass mortar and pestle. I've heard people talk about them, and I've only seen them used for decoration purposes behind the counter of a compounding pharmacy. And they're just as good as glass mortar and pestles, but they're a little more difficult to find. Now, a wood mortar and pestle. Now, this again is something like the soapstone. It's just for decoration purposes because it's so porous, and using wood, as you guys would know, it has its difficulties because the wood can dry and crack if you don't take care of it. So I would suggest if you want a wood mortar and pestle, just use it for decoration purposes only. Now, when you're using a mortar and pestle to grind up your herbs, or just simply to mix them together for whatever purpose that you're using it for, it's important to make your intent known and to circle around with the pestle, stating your intent, or just thinking about your intent and pouring forth your energy into the herbs. Now, there is another way to grind up your herbs without having to use a mortar and pestle. It's called a blender, and you may already have one. Well, some people believe that a blender just doesn't have that magical feeling. You can't put your intent when you're pressing the pulse button of the blender, but it does alleviate some of the elbow grease in using a mortar and pestle. So, if you want to use both, you can, and see which one you prefer. I prefer the mortar and pestle approach, but you may not, and you may want to use a blender. Well, I can go on for a very long time about herbs and their magical properties, but I have to stop at some point. So, your assignment for this week is to take 3 herbs and start to work with their magical properties. Now, use the herbs in ways and means that pertain to your daily life. Say if you have an issue with money, use herbs to help you with your money problems, or if you're trying to find love, use herbs that attract love to you. You can use them in either a satchel, burn them as incense, or just simply put them in a tea if they are drinkable as a tea. Now, until next time, blessed be.